Welcome to episode 34 of Insights for Business Owners. This episode, we have Mushfiq, who is the CEO of webacquisitions.com, a technical due diligence firm. Mushfiq, great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, maybe just the kind of highest level to start at is what is technical due diligence? Because I don't think a lot of people actually understand what that is.
Right. So mostly we operate in the online business world, so software, e-commerce, Amazon businesses, content media businesses. Now, these businesses require technical due diligence because there's a lot of technology involved, right? Marketing
Right.
spend, SEO, Google Ads, email
Yeah.
marketing, SMS marketing, all these different marketing channels.
Hmm.
So technical due diligence is essentially hiring a technical firm that has background in analyzing these different marketing channels, how they impact the P&L, how they impact the revenue, and essentially somebody who knows what they're doing to analyze
Yeah.
this in specific business to tell you, all right, was what the seller doing actually profitable? Are the numbers, do they actually line up? Are they
Mm.
overpaying or are they understating some things? So that's from the P&L's perspective, but also to look through the different strategies to see, is there any fraud going on? Are
Mm.
they manipulating? Are they doing SEO strategies that are not term, short term gains, right? So those
Wow.
kind of things, you hire an expert to do that. It differs because in the online space, you need that. But for physical businesses, service businesses, trades, you don't really need that. So that's
Right.
why there's a disconnect between typical searchers, ETA folks who
Yeah.
buy physical businesses. They don't understand when they get into the online space that you can't just hire a QOE firm like a
No.
CPA or a tax attorney to do that because
Right.
you need to have the deep expertise on the online space world.
Absolutely. No, that's super helpful. Like I imagine one thing is like email lists can be like a really
Yeah.
valuable asset, right? So one of the things I imagine you can help with is like to determine whether those are true or not, right?
Yeah, we've
Um,
seen a lot of fraud in the email space where folks, newsletters, specifically
yeah,
businesses,
newsletters. Yeah,
where folks actually scrape email lists, build up 100,000 email list following by
wow.
scraping the data, which has the other side, the clients, the customers never actually placed intent to be subscribed to the email list. They
Right.
then just scrape those emails, put it in the email list providers, Substack, Beehive, all the platform, MailChimp,
Yeah.
and then start sending a newsletter and then package that up and sell it as a business, right? And we've caught that red-handed.
Wow. And so you have tools and knowledge to catch something like that right away.
Yeah, just back when we've been doing this since 2008. Webacquisition.com is actually launched 3 years ago, but we personally, me and my holding company, we've been buying online businesses since 2008 ourselves. So we're
Wow.
practitioners.
Yeah.
We're not just selling a service. We actually offer that service, but then we're also buying businesses yearly. Like we just bought one
Wow.
6 months ago. So we
Nice.
put what we learn into practice. The
Yeah.
reason we offer a M&A agency, M&A firm is because it gives us access to more deal flow. It
Yeah.
gives us access to a steady stream of revenue as a
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
and in itself. But we
Yeah.
might look at 100 deals, we buy one, and the rest
Yeah.
are our clients buying, right? So that's how that
Makes
works.
sense. Yeah, yeah.
We're
Well, there
getting
was a kind
paid
of a
to
high
find deals. How
oh,
about that?
yeah. It
Yeah.
there was a high level example of this problem, which you may have heard. I think JP Morgan
Yep.
bought a company.
Right.
I think it had to do with like providing finance for like
Right.
younger, Gen Z or Gen X
Right.
or
Right.
type folks, right? And what JP Morgan, I guess, didn't use webacquisitions.com. They should have,
Yeah.
because it turned out the emails were fake, and
Yep.
they
Yep.
paid like tens of millions of dollars for this, which was a
Yep.
fraud. Yeah. So even at a high level, a lot of people don't check, or maybe they don't have good diligence.
It's I think it's just a lack of understanding, right? It's not rocket science to check those things. It's just most acquirers, whether they are PE firms or individual searchers, they're looking at the P&L. They're looking at the revenue. They're looking at the
Right.
revenue trends. They're looking at those line items. They're looking at tax records, bank statements. That's
Yeah.
just one picture. I can fake an online business pretty easily. You can't do that in the physical world space because there is a physical business, real people. It's hard to fake a lot of that. It's really easy to do it in the online space, right?
Wow.
So it's just a different mind shift. So I think the
Yeah.
JP Morgan folks were probably MBAs or folks who have understand the numbers, but not
Yeah.
actually the software or the platform that they were purchasing.
I love the fact that you not only kind of help people discover fraud or problems, but also like one time, say, advertising spends which aren't sustainable. So talk to me about that sort of like non-sustainable SEO spend, or like,
Yeah,
how does that
yeah.
look, and how do you advise folks on that?
Yeah, so we look at a 2 year history. So
Oh
obviously
wow.
we want folks to buy businesses that are at least 3 years old in the online
3 years
space.
old.
You
Okay.
got you got to have some stability at least.
Yep.
In the physical world, you can find businesses that are 15 years old. It's hard to find that in the online space.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There's very few of those. So 3 years old
Yeah.
is pretty ideal. So we want to see history of Google spend. So ad
Mm.
spend or whatever people are spending money to drive customers to their business. That shouldn't be a 1 month or a 2 month thing. It should have been going on for a year. It takes time for these algorithms to essentially pick up which keywords you're bidding on, what strategies you're doing. So we want to see some
Yeah.
history there. And we want to see
Yeah.
consistent history. It shouldn't be just like, oh, they turned on ads 1 month because they felt like it got 100 customers. Next month they're like, oh, we didn't feel like it. Right? Those kind of things is not a legitimate owner. A
Mm.
legitimate seller. That's somebody
Yeah.
just trying different strategies. So we
Mm.
vet. We actually get access to all the accounts. So that could
Wow.
be your Stripe account, your PayPal for the finances, where the revenue
Yeah.
is coming in, the Google ad accounts, everything that's actually a line item cost or a revenue cost, we get access and verify all of
Wow.
that to make sure it
Yeah.
lines up and just make sure that it's legitimate, right?
So you can, that's interesting. So you can also like verify, say, Shopify accounts to
Oh
make
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure, yeah, that those, because
Amazon, Shopify. Yep.
people can game that as well. It sounds like.
It's not about gaming, so
Okay.
it's hard to so that's why in the online space there is a level of trust in platforms like Stripe, Shopify,
Okay.
PayPal because it's hard to game those. The sales are coming in. It's just that I can find a business where the seller
Hmm.
more or less may have done this, where you get a P&L, it shows, oh, you got 50,000 revenue, right? And the costs are like, because online businesses have large margins, 80% is not unheard of. You can see
Right.
20% of costs being like people costs. And then you wonder, oh, wow, there was no advertising spend. This is a very organic business. But in
Right.
reality, the P&L is hiding the fact that the seller used Google ads to
Oh.
generate the sales, right? So we go in
Oh.
and we analyze that business and see, all right, there is no
Not
natural
profitable.
organic traffic. Something
Right.
happened here. Where is that coming from? We can kind of
Right.
reverse engineer. It's like forensic analysis. We're finding the crime,
Yeah.
right? We can find that where that come from, and we can call out the seller and say, look, you guys did some Google ads. You didn't share that, right? And then so give us access.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
it's
not about
connected.
fraud. Yeah, sorry to finish my
No,
thought.
it's
It's
connected to
not
the
about,
financial
yeah,
statements.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
not
because then
about,
you're like, yeah, there's
sorry.
more, there's less margin than you're showing because you're actually spending Google Ads on maybe, and you're not showing it on the P&L. And we know
Exactly.
that because you only have so many website hits or something. You don't have a lot of organic.
Exactly, exactly. And look, brokers are good. Brokers like big brokers in this space will do that pre-vetting on the
Yep.
seller's perspective because their name is on the line.
Yeah.
But on in the online space, off-market deals are very common. So they are also in the physical space. But you can find a lot of off-market deals where sellers are just selling their businesses up to a million, couple $1 million, and they maybe not purposefully, but just forgot to add a line item, right? That can happen.
Yeah.
They've been
It
running it
happens.
for
No, it
so long.
happens. Yeah. Right.
For example, in the e-commerce space, we have physical products. People get the COGS, cost of goods,
Yeah.
wrong all the time. They
All
forget
the
to
time.
add the PayPal fees or payment processing fees, which is
Mm-hmm.
3%.
Percent.
And
Yeah.
that hits the gross margin. They forget to include returns, which hits
Yeah.
gross margin. So
Sure.
these little things where it's probably not deliberate, but it makes the business look way too good, where you have 80% gross margins when an e-commerce business should be around much less, 50 to 70%. So we
Hmm.
know, because of our experience running our own e-commerce businesses, we have a
Yeah.
portfolio of e-commerce. We know what COGS should include, and we can
Yeah.
call out the seller and say, please add those in, right? To help the buyer get a better deal.
So it's really a combination, sort of technical and financial.
Yes.
Do you do QOV too, or do you bring in someone else for that?
So far, in all due diligence, we have not done a QOE. And I say this because, and I may be wrong here, lack of understanding of QOE is that on online business space, everything happens on via payment processors.
On the
You can
platform.
trace
Yeah, yeah.
everything back on
Right.
the data and get everything and pre-good. And then you can ask for bank statements to verify if Stripe or
Yeah.
PayPal are depositing.
Yeah.
But remember, these payment processors have been around for decades. They're not in the game to cheat anybody out.
No.
It's where you have physical businesses where they're collecting Zelle payments, cash,
Right.
checks, and then
Yeah.
payment process where that you need to do more of that. So
No, I
we
think
have
that's a
not
great
done it.
point.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's like, but basically proof of cash. You just sort of
Proof of
like,
cash.
sort of like match bank statements to, to the platforms, to tax returns. I think
Yep.
that's all you
Yep.
pretty much need to do.
Yeah. Basics.
How are you guys handling AI, from a technical due diligence,
Mhm.
sort of approach? Are you using AI? How is it all fitting in?
We, from the due diligence perspective, no, we don't use AI. So to actually analyze any of the data, it's not good enough to.
Okay.
So really, data analysis is a very small portion of the activity. It's really the insights when I'm looking at a data. Like, for example, I do the due diligence myself. So this is not
Yeah.
outsourced. I'm the one who's actually writing the reports.
Yeah.
And I can look at a number and just by experience, I know that number's off, right? That's
Wow.
not something AI can
No.
understand. And so that's what you're paying for. That's what technical due is that deep expertise that we've built up to know that number is inaccurate. For example, email list costs, right? We know it should
Yeah.
cost X amount for this kind of business, and sometimes they leave that off. All these little things are insights that we bring to the table. So no, we're not
Yeah.
using AI. We do due diligence on AI softwares that are being
You
sold for
do.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
you do. Yeah.
SaaS platforms that are AI based, or, if the seller is using AI in their business, is that long term? Is that automated? And, all those things we vet.
Okay. So do you look at things like code and, like, analyze whether, it's, well made or duplicative?
Yes.
Like, can you actually, yeah,
Yes.
you
We
can,
have
yeah.
3 developers on staff that can
Wow.
actually do code reviews. That's what it's
Code
called
reviews.
when you're buying. Yep, when you're buying a
Yeah.
SaaS, and to make sure that it's can be taken over by the new owner, right? And it's a good code
Wow.
base, as it was, is what
Yeah.
we call it. So yeah, definitely.
Great. And I imagine same thing then with like apps as well. Like you'll be
Yep,
able to, like,
mobile apps.
test,
Yep.
mobile apps and sort of test. And then do you do some strategic advising too about, like, ways that the company could be grown, like, places for improvement?
Yeah. So in our reports, we have a little small section where we say what we call it the easy wins, essentially,
Yeah.
that can be done. Yeah, we do that. But that's not the, so due diligence always looks at the past,
Right.
and we
Right.
have
True,
to
true.
have a snapshot in the past and say from today backwards what happened. And then
Hmm.
what happens afterwards, post close, that's growth agencies and growth operators. We have another sister company that does that. So we pretty much
Yeah.
have a vertically integrated service for
Oh, wow.
everybody from start to finish, essentially. If they want to be fully hands off, we offer pretty much everything.
Oh, that's great. So you actually have another company that can help people with growth strategies,
Yep.
implementations. Well, so post close implementation as well.
Yes. Yep. Growth. If they're buying like an e-commerce business, right, and the e-commerce is using paying paid ads, right, Google ads, Facebook
Yep.
marketing, we can manage that. If they're doing SEO, we can manage that. So we can take parts of it away from the seller, so they're not worried about that, and then
Yeah.
the seller is then just worried about product design, new products, all that kind of more high
Yeah.
level.
High level, yeah.
Yeah.
And is that so? That's not at webacquisitions.com. That's another
Sorry. That's weboperators.com.
web
Similar.
operators. Okay, and you got the good domain
I got
names
the
too. I
good.
mean, that's a reason why people will know you're the ones to
Yeah.
to, to
Yeah.
hire because
Right.
you got all the good domain names.
Yeah.
Um, that's great. And how many folks on your team then?
So we have two branches, right? So we have our operations side and our holding company is about 40 people. And then we have
Wow.
our M&A company with 5 people, and we're hiring
Yep.
somebody in the next month. So we just launched deal sourcing. So maybe I could quickly talk about that
Yeah,
because
talk
it's
about that. Yeah,
important,
that'd be great.
is that some of our clients come back to us for multiple due diligence reports, right?
Yeah,
They hire us for one, build a report, we do the report, we find red flags,
yeah,
they cancel the deal and walk away to the next one. And this has
yeah,
happened multiple times, and our reports are not cheap. So they're spending a lot of money. So this
yeah.
was a lack of understanding, is that business actually have legs before they even get into a LOI or the due diligence phase. So we
Hmm.
thought, why don't we just have because there's only maybe 10 brokers in the space. We also have access to off-market deals because we have email list of 20K buyers and sellers. So we have a lot of
Wow.
off-market deals and on-market deals.
Yeah,
So we're looking at the same deals because of our expertise. I can look at something and say, this has legs, or this
yeah,
is not a great niche, or they're spending way too much on ads. This is not long term. I can catch that
yeah.
in 5 minutes. So we offer a deal sourcing where we work from
Wow.
day one to close, where we source
Nice.
the deals every single week and pre-vet them, right? Before it even
Yeah,
goes to the LOI phase or even due diligence. So that saved them a lot of time, and they're not spending so much on due diligence reports and just multiple times hiring us. They just pay us
yeah.
for a retainer for 3 months, 6 months to find a deal and
Oh
take
wow.
it to the close. So that has a higher success rate, and they're working with an advisor like me and my team instead of just finding random deals here and there and hiring us and
Right.
paying us so much money. So that worked well, and save a lot more money and headache for the sellers, because
Yeah.
sunk cost fallacy is really important here. We have one
Yeah.
client who's been searching for 50 deals for since January this year. No, January last year. It's been a long time for her,
Yeah.
and she hired us for due diligence. And I'm like, this is not a good deal. Please stop. We
Yeah.
couldn't convince her to just not
Right.
get out of this deal because it's so bad. And I had to get her on a call and say, look, I have an ethical issue of doing due
Right.
diligence on this when I know
Yeah.
this is the worst deal in the market right now. Please stop. And she
I
finally
know.
agreed. And I'm like, okay, this could have been avoided if we
Right.
just pre-vetted that deal in the first place. So that's something we are
That's
offering in the
very
market.
cool. And that's just monthly retainer, and that also includes the technical due diligence, or no, or that's an
No,
add-on.
that's an add-on, and that's separate. That includes the deal
Okay.
sourcing, advisory,
Yeah.
negotiation. People, the clients we're working with now, we actually save the retainer because we can structure the deal better than them, right? We
Wow.
know what the market valuations are. We know when sellers and brokers are just asking for too much, or there could have been an earnout or a seller financing component to decrease the cash down. So
Yeah.
they make their money back on the back end.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. No, that's great. So you
Yeah.
like show like your value. You're like, hey,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
you
yeah.
paid us, we saved you the money. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's great.
exactly.
No, I mean we run into that situation too, and sometimes we've actually just said to a client like we won't work on this deal with you. We don't think you should do this. We think it's
Yeah.
too dangerous,
Yeah.
it's too risky. We send money back. We'll just say here's all your money back, and they're like, what
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
But it happens, especially, and I think you've seen this a lot. People have been searching for a long time. Maybe they quit their job, a year and a half ago, and they're getting low on funds and they're stressed and they just want to
Yeah.
get something done. And I
Yep.
think that is a very dangerous place to be. And it is the sunk cost fallacy, like you
Yep.
said.
Yep. Yep.
For that reason, do you suggest people do full-time search, or do you think part-time is better?
So I was never a searcher, but I've been acquiring businesses in 2008. So
Yeah.
I know I had a
Yeah.
job, I had a career on the side.
Yep.
I left my job after so many years in
Right.
2020, right? After and
12 years.
fully focused on my own portfolio and M&A firm and all that. So I've
12
been
years.
working.
You
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been working, going to school, doing things on the side, and my business is on the side. So
Right.
for searchers who have zero experience and they just think, okay, I have SBA loan or
Yeah.
this down payment, it's an uphill battle. Okay, you're
I agree.
competing with people like me if you're buying an
Yeah.
online business who can just close on a deal much quicker. You're competing with
Yeah.
PE firms if you're buying. So do it on the side. And
Yeah.
people I'm working with now in deal sourcing, this One example, this person is a Salesforce executive, right? So
Yeah.
they're making a lot of money and they
Right.
want to kind of quit, but it's a high salary. So they're like, okay, they can afford to pay advisors to kind of find deals for
Yeah.
them, find the right deal.
Yeah.
And then they keep working and then keep maybe working 6 months post close and then eventually quit their
Right.
job. So
Yeah.
I think full-time searches, unless you have big backers, I think it's hard. You shouldn't self-fund your search. I think that's not smart in today's environment.
With you, and actually, I think like the combination which you said is perfect. It's like you got a big W-2,
Yeah.
pay an advisor to help like with
Yep.
the search, and don't take too much risk. Like
Yep.
just keep your job.
Yeah.
I like that phrase. Like keep your day job until your night job pays. And
Right.
yeah, I mean that's amazing that you did 12 years before with side hustles before you actually left your W-2 or
Yeah, even
And I
though
think I don't know. That's my
two
personal
was
opinion too.
pennies compared to what the business was bringing, but it was just like safety net, right? Always
Yeah,
there.
health insurance. I'm sure like
Health
yeah,
insurance.
another big one,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I could have
But
quit earlier. In
yeah,
hindsight, I should have quit earlier, but
right.
there's no regrets, right? To have safety net.
No, and look, and lots of people have done it and done it well, but I think you don't run into the sunk cost fallacy, which I do worry about.
Yep.
That just
Yep.
pressure to do anything, and then
Yep.
that can compound. You get into a bad deal, and you've left your job.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. We've all seen a few of those train wrecks.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mushfiq, thank you so much. So the best way to find you sounds like webacquisition.com. Web acquisitions it has an S at the end?
Actually, I gotta check. I think I own
Double
both
check, double
domains.
check.
I own both domains. So it's webacquisitionos.com. Yep.
Acquisition.com. Web
Yep.
operations.com.
Operators,
Operators.com. All
weboperators.com.
right.
Yeah, LinkedIn is fine. Just search my name, unique name.
Nice.
I'm the only one out there. And Twitter, I'm active as well.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you.
all your knowledge and really appreciate it. Congrats on everything you built. I mean, it's really amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.